Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King, and today I'm going to be giving you part 28 of What If Naruto Was Given a Second Chance. Remember to get this on the 300 like as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also go ahead and check out the new episode of What If Naruto Learned the Clone Secret in the beginning and enjoy that guys. And later on I'm going to be posting a brand new episode of What If Naruto got his memories sealed away, so stay tuned for that and I hope you guys enjoy. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice and you enjoy the videos on both Anime King and Anime King 2, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support guys. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be planning talking back to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, what do you say we begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last spot we left off. As Naruto and Sasuke were ready to start their battle, everyone was there. The clan heads, all of the rookie team, and also many people from Konoha attended after hearing that the last Uchiha and the Golden Blur was about to test their strength. As the both of them started off, as everyone watched what was going on. At first it seemed that Naruto was only playing with Sasuke, as you could well see that Naruto was faster and stronger than Sasuke, until the both of them started to battle on equal grounds and Sasuke activated Sharingan. As Jiraiya knew that Naruto was still holding back, yes he was, a lot, as Naruto stabbed one of his blades into the ground. After working with Harishim for so long, he has upgraded it, as he doesn't have to mark anywhere. Once the radius of his blade has spread out wide enough, he could flash anywhere in the radius of his blade, as Sasuke didn't even stand a chance when Naruto started to flash around and started to beat the absolute crap out of him. Naruto also showed off a new technique, his Dragon Rasengan, as it was a blue dragon with several Rasengan balls inside it as he rushed towards Sasuke. Sasuke activated Susanoo. As Naruto was surprised when he saw Sasuke's eyes, he knew that Sasuke had something up his sleeve. As Sasuke retell what happened, as Sasuke thought long and hard about what Naruto said about his eyes, he needed to find out more if he was going to go up against Itachi, so he had read the tablet before he headed off. As on his training trip he told Kakashi about the Monkey to Sharingan and how he would achieve it. As Kakashi placed a seal on Sasuke one night and trapped Sasuke in a loop of a genjutsu to make Sasuke see Itachi kill everyone in front of his eyes, and then it was him that killed everyone, so taking Itachi's place and also slit Naruto's throat, his best friend, even though he wouldn't admit out loud. Naruto was the closest friend he had right now. As it paid off though when Sasuke's eyes changed, but still he needed the eternal Monkey to Sharingan or he would go blind, as he read all about it at the Naka Shrine in the Uchiha Temple. As the both of them started to battle even intense now, shocking everyone up there when Sasuke started to fire off arrows. Tsunade was surprised at Naruto drawing Sage Mode, as it took Jiraiya the 2 toes to do it, but Naruto could do it on his own. As Naruto started to attack Sasuke with a variety of attacks, Sasuke could feel his chakra getting weaker and weaker, as these eyes are really taxing as he used the Amaterasu Flame that really put a strain on his eyes. As Naruto then started to knock him around once he came out of his Susanoo. Sasuke then stand up one more time as he created that Chidori, pumping all sorts of power into it, as he then added his fire nature into it, making it become a dragon head with lightning flames. As Naruto created a planetary Rasengan, a single Rasengan in the center with several Rasengan revolving around as it spin like a blade. As the both of them launched themselves at each other, a massive explosion that ripped through the ground and teared through the walls erupted. When everything calmed down, everyone saw Naruto standing above Sasuke, with Sasuke lying on his back. But Sasuke wasn't upset as he told Naruto that soon he would defeat him. But Sasuke felt confident enough that he would take down Itachi, as he knew that Naruto would be stronger than him. He just wanted to test himself. And he felt confident now because he wasn't aiming to kill Naruto, and he still had one other technique up his sleeve. Some time passed as Naruto asked Hayate, Anko, and Yujiro, and Kushina, as he wanted them all to be in the Uzumaki clan, adopted them in the clan. giving them the last name. As Kushina thought about it rather quickly. If she would stay here with her big brother, she would love it, as she said yes. As Yujiro and Hayate looked at each other. Thinking about it, they have been here the entire time anyways. But Naruto was called away, as Team 7 was in Tsunade's office a minute later. Gaara has been kidnapped by the Akatsuki, as Naruto had his marker in the hidden sand, so there was no need for them to take 3 days to run there. As Tsunade asked him if he could do it though. Jiraiya was heading out on gathering some information so he wouldn't be able to accompany them on this mission, as Naruto told Tsunade that he can do it, as she told him to be careful out there. As Kakashi was the leader of this mission, she wanted to give Sasuke and Naruto a mission to lead on their own, seeing that they have shown incredible performance, as she already filed the papers for them to become Jonin. So yeah guys, that was basically the last where we left off. You guys can switch across the place and check for yourself. So this will begin this new episode. We begin this episode at the Hidden Sand Village. Baki was currently in the hospital, as things were bad as it stands right now. Gaara was kidnapped by the Akatsuki. It was only luck they managed to kidnap Gaara. Deidara, a hidden S-rank criminal now, from the Hidden Stone. Naruto had given them the information that Akatsuki members that he knew about, so they were on high alert. But that guy was going to blow the entire village up. Gaara had to use his sand to protect the village, as that guy planted some small explosive in Gaara's sand. When Gaara used the shield himself, he had imploded. And the guy took Gaara. Temari and Conqueror went after him, as they didn't wait on the other platoon. Baki and his men were about to follow, when Baki had noticed all the clay spiders as they were forced to retreat back, as it was an explosion that covered the walkway, so they couldn't leave. They had to stay the other way around, and it took them some time. But when they got out to the desert, they saw a sign of battle, cloths and torn clothing of the Akatsuki. But they found Temari and Conqueror there, as both of them were unconscious. Not to mention, they were also poisoned. They had quickly rushed them back to the village, but no antidote. The sand, they weren't ready for this kind of poison, as they weren't able to treat it. They had quickly sent word towards Konoha, asking for their help in this matter, because right now as things stand, everything is critically dangerous. Meanwhile, at the hidden pathway, it had been cleared away, as it now was guarded. They had ninjas on top of the wall, and 2 ninjas stationed right at the gate. Suddenly, there was a flash that startled all of them. The ninjas all pulled back their weapon, but when they saw someone drop to their knee, with the 4 ninjas who were standing there. Naruto, you alright? Kakashi asked. Damn, said Naruto. You know, I never teleported 3 people at once, including myself made 4. That took a lot out of me. Can you stand? Asked Sakura. Yeah, I should be fine, Naruto said. Naruto considered a voice. As Naruto looked forward to see someone rushing forward, Maki wakes the voice. No, it's okay. It's the Konoha ninjas. As a girl named Maki rushed forward, she had on a white cloth wrapped around her head that came down to the side of her face, with purple markings going down, and the sand headband tied right around her forehead, as she was wearing the standard Chunin jacket for the Hidden Sand. You're here, she said, as she looked at Naruto. Naruto got back up to his feet. Well, I heard that Gaara was captured. I couldn't just leave a friend like that, he said, as he got up fully to his feet. And you don't have to worry about Conqueror and Temari as well. We heard it in the letter. And even though we don't have Tsunade, we have the next best thing, said Naruto, as he looked over at Sakura. You're Sakura-san, right? Said Maki. Have we met before? Sakura asked. No, but Naruto can talk about you already. Who is this? Asked Sasuke. Oh, one of my friends that I met here in the Hidden Sand, said Naruto, as he then put his hands in a cross formation. Naruto, what are you doing? Said Kakashi. Well, we need to hurry up and find Gaara. Hey Kurama, can you help me out here? Sure thing, Kurama said. Multi Shadow Jutsu, said Naruto. Many poof went off all around them, as the ninjas watched with surprise in their faces, as they saw a literal army of clones, as they couldn't believe it. None of them had seen Naruto summon so much clones before. They knew that he was incredible, but to this extent, most of them couldn't even perform 3 clones, or much less 2. You all know what to do, Naruto said. Got it, all of them said, before they flashed off Neshanshin. Are you sure you can be able to use up so much chakra? Asked Kakashi. Don't worry, Naruto said. I'll be fine. Maki, can you bring us to the hospital? Right this way, she said. Moments later, Baki-sama, said Maki as she made her way inside. Maki, he said. He turned around, hearing her voice. A look of relief came on his face. Naruto-san, he said, you're here. Hey there, Baki, said Naruto. Where are they? Naruto asked. Right this way, said Baki, as the group made their way to hear groaning. As they entered the hospital room to see Lady Chiu and her brother standing there along with a few other medics, who had concerned looks on their faces because they couldn't do anything to help. Naruto quickly rushed over. Temari, he said, as he looked at Conqueror as well. See the both of them in bad shape. This wasn't supposed to happen, Naruto thought to himself. Sakura. Yes, she said as she quickly rushed over. Baki looked at the sand ninjas. Give her whatever she needs. She is here to help. Yes, all of them said, as they quickly got to work. As the others watched from the sideline, Chiyo then turned. Ah, so you're here, she said. Well, I figured once you got the call you would be here, she said, looking at Naruto. Of course, Naruto said, after all, Gaara is my friend, and I don't leave my friends hanging. For the numerous things that you have done for this village, I can say that you don't, said Chiyo. It seems that Naruto is quite famous here, said Sasuke. It seems that way, said Kakashi, as he watched the interaction the blonde was having with the others. As Sakura then started to give out orders for the medics to go for all kinds of supplies. Moments later, as two figures were in the forest, near to the water country. One of them was quite furious as he was looking down. The unconscious Gaara was resting against a tree, with Deidara standing right beside him. Another person was kneeling down, his red messy hair could be shown. It was none other than Sasori. There was a scroll on the ground, a containment scroll that just had been released. Inside of it was all sorts of broken parts from his puppet. Why do we have to do this here, said Deidara. Can't we just go on ahead? We can do this once you're finished with this sealing. After all, it's gonna take 3 days, you know that, Sasori, said Deidara. Be quiet, said Sasori. I need to make sure that everything is here, he said as he clenched his fist. And this is your fault to begin with. How can this be my fault? I told you to take those two out quickly. But no, you want to stay behind and play with them. And that sand girl is no one to mess with. As you can see from our deadly, long-range wind attacks, Sasori said, as he checked over his puppet before going through hand sign. As he placed his hand down in the scroll, suddenly all of the puppet parts were sealed back in the scroll. So is everything there? Yes, it is. Let's go, he said. Why can't we just fly there? Asked Sasori. I don't like standing on your stupid art that can blow up under my feet. What? You think I don't have control on my art? Sasori asked. Just be quiet and let's go, said Sasori. As he was still angry that his puppet was turned to a pile of rubble by that girl. If it wasn't for the other sand ninjas coming out, he would have stayed behind and personally killed her. But they didn't have time to waste, and he didn't like to keep people waiting. Meanwhile, at the hidden rain, as Tendo Pain was sitting down on the edge, his eyes closed, as the rain was pouring down. As he then slowly opened back his eyes. I have just notified all of them. They will be ready when the time comes. Meanwhile, near to the water country, as Zetsu was currently sticking to a tree, as he was watching the sight in front of him, as he saw the golden blur, but not just one. Tens, 20, no 30, no hundreds, as they were all flying through the trees and dashing as fast as possible. He has to report this right away, as Zetsu sank on the ground. Moments later, as Konan and Pain was looking over the edge, until they heard something behind them. Leader-sama, said Zetsu. What is it, Zetsu? Asked Pain. I'm afraid that we have some trouble. What trouble? Said Pain. The golden blur. He's hot on Deidara and Sasori's trail. If he gets to them, I don't think that he will survive. As Konan looked at Pain, what should we do? As Pain stood there for a few seconds, this was bad. He doubted any of the fake half percentage, not even half, 30% bodies could stop him or even slow him down, but he has to try. So, they couldn't seal the Shikaku right there. They would have to bring the Kazekage to a different location, because they wouldn't have 3 days if that boy is there. Yes, they wouldn't indeed. Tell Sasori and Deidara to keep moving. Tell them to go to the other hideout, in the land of hot water, and move quickly. And tell them who's coming after them. At once, said Zetsu as he went back underground. As Pain then closed his eyes. Meanwhile, two persons were walking. This is going to be a long 3 days. We should set up somewhere so we won't be bothered, one of them said. The shorter one said nothing though. Suddenly, they were contacted. What is it? Said the tall one, as he was none other than Kisame himself, the shorter one being Itachi. I need you to go install someone. I need you to use that jutsu. And who is it? Kisame said. The golden blur, said Pain. A smirk came on Kisame's face, but he then turned to a frown. It's a shame that I wouldn't be able to fight him in my original body. I have to pay him back for what he did to me the last time. But Itachi said nothing. You got that, Itachi, said Pain in his mind. I did, Itachi said, as he slowly sat down. Kisame, let's get ready, he said. Yeah, let's see how strong the bird has become. Back at the hidden sand village, as Sakura had finished, at least an hour ago. The two were now resting as they were asleep. Their bodies were out of immediate danger though, seeing that Sakura has made an antidote for them and injected the both of them with it. And she's created the antidote, at least 3 of them just in case they run to those guys out there. As she created 5 but she gave 2, one to Temari and one to Kankuro. Back out in the field, as Deidara and Sasori were slowly making their way, not thinking that anyone would be after them now, until the ground shifted right in front of them. Zetsu, what are you doing out here? Asked Sasori. You have company on the way. Company? Sasori said. Who is it? The golden blur. What? Said Deidara. He's here? Where is he? Deidara said, looking around. He has heard about that guy, and hears some terrible stories from people. He didn't know if those people were over-exaggerating his strength, but he knew that that kid was a double S-class ninja in the bingo book. Yes, he's quite dangerous and deadly indeed. But still, he wouldn't back down from him. But if they have the Jinchuriki right now, that will be his main action to get the Jinchuriki back from them. And they wouldn't be able to deliver it because they wouldn't have enough time. As for his name, Golden Blur, they didn't think that they were fast enough to keep up with him. The leader said that you must continue on with your trail. Do not stop at this hideout. Continue on to the one in the land of hot water. And you need to put a move on it. Because he couldn't get to finish that sentence, as Zetsu looked up just in time to see a kunai coming towards his face. But in an instant, the flash appeared right from the kunai. It was Naruto with a Rasengan already in hand. Zetsu quickly turned his body to the white half as Naruto Rasengan smashed into it with great force, tearing through the white half as he was torn to shreds, as the black half sank underground, as the white body was completely destroyed. Naruto didn't spin around, but the moment he did, several spiders jumped towards him. That's a massive explosion went off. Meanwhile, at the hidden sand, as Naruto was currently sitting down in a chair outside, as Sakura was still inside looking over her 2 patients. Suddenly, Maki came out. Naruto-kun, she said, they're getting up. As Naruto got to his feet, as Sasuke was leaning up against the wall, he opened his eyes and stepped inside as well, and Kakashi did as well. As Temari and Kankuro both groaned, seemed to be waking up at the same time. As Naruto then placed a hand on his head, found them, he said. Back in the clearing, several clones had came upon the position, hidden in the shadows where the explosion went off, as they started nodding to each other before all of them burst out of the trees. Sasori quickly spun around as his hand then opened up to reveal a small hole. It was then that hundreds of senbon needles started to launch out of the hole, dripping with poison, dispelling all of the clones. As Deidara was holding onto the Jinchuriki that was over his shoulder, his hand was moving because he was creating something in his palm as he threw it up. Suddenly, a bird was formed. As he placed his hand in the tiger hand sign, as the bird got larger, the bird then picked up Gaara and swallowed him. As Deidara then jumped on top of the bird, until his instincts were screaming danger at him as he spun just in time to see Naruto coming towards him to decapitate his head. He made the bird go straight up, flying past Naruto going up. As he smirked down, "Let's see you catch me up here," he said. Suddenly he felt movements on his bird. As he turned, he quickly spun his body just in time as a sword passed right where his head was. As Naruto slammed his hand on his shoulder, gripping onto him tight before swinging his sword around to decapitate Deidara. But Deidara released a small spider that hung on Naruto's shirt before he leaped off his bird. Guts! As the spider blew Naruto to pieces that exploded into smoke. How many of them are there? I think they're done for now, said Sasori as he looked around. As he saw no more clones coming out. We need to get out of here, he said. But what if the original come after us? The leader must have a plan of slowing him down. As Sasori made his way, well then, said Deira, you will have to get on my bird then. Sasori grunted a bit, but he did as he was told, as he got on top of the bird, as Deira got on as well. Alright, let's get the hell out of here. Meanwhile, in the distance, a clone was watching them fly off, as the clone then poofed away. Back at the hidden sand as Temari and Conqueror came too. As Naruto was holding on to his head, he hadn't said nothing for a while now. He was just standing there. Damn it, Naruto suddenly grunted. Temari heard his voice as she lifted up her head. Naruto-kun? What are you? Everything came rushing down on her like a brick. As she remembered everything that happened. Gaara, she said. As Naruto turned towards Kakashi without saying anything to her or anyone else. They're getting away. Where did your clones last saw them? Asked Kakashi. They're nearby the water country. They're passing through the border right now as we speak. They're on a bird that is moving pretty fast. I can't teleport us all there in one go. Even myself cannot go that far. And I believe that they already gone off a distance with that bird, depending on the speed how it's moving right now. But my clones had set up markers over there. And not to mention I marked one of them. But I need to get in close, Naruto said. I can't do it from here. So I'll have to go myself. What? Said Kakashi. Are you crazy? Said Sakura. Going out there to take on those two S-rank criminals on your own. Despite knowing how strong you are, Naruto, I don't think that this is the best, wise course of action, said Kakashi. Alright, I have another plan, said Naruto. I can teleport you all here out into the woods, but you'll have to run the rest of the way on your own, while I teleport towards the group and try to slow them down, and then you guys come and give me backup. That's the only plan I can think of now, because they're retreating. You need to pick something quickly, Kakashi-sensei, said Naruto, as Kakashi closed his eyes for a few seconds. As he opened them back, alright fine. Bring us as close as you can. As he stepped forward and reached into his pouch, he pulled out a small white bag with some food pills in it. You're gonna need these, he said. Nah, you keep those, said Naruto as he pulled out a seal. I had stored my chakra into the seal to replenish me whenever I get weak. I'll use this once I use a Harashin. As Naruto looked over at Baki, as he then noticed Temari had picked herself up, listening to the entire conversation. Naruto-kun, she said, as Naruto made his way over there. Don't worry, he said as he gave her a smile. I'll rescue Gaara, no matter what. I believe in you, she said. As Naruto nodded, you hear that face paint guy, Naruto said. It's war paint, said Kankuro. But he didn't have the strength to argue. Now go. Rescue my younger brother, he said. Naruto made his way over. Alright guys, he said, hold on. As they all placed their hand on him before he vanished. As Baki stood there, he released a sigh of relief, knowing that Naruto was on the way to try and rescue Gaara. He had little to no doubts in his heart after seeing what that boy could do, bringing back some of the most dangerous missing ninjas on the hidden sand, and even defeating Gaara and Temari in a match with the both of them on him, to show how truly strong he was, even though it was a public match, because people would be quite surprised that another shinobi from another nation can just easily defeat a Kazekage like that. But at least he was there to witness what the boy could actually do, and still he could feel that the boy wasn't really going all out. As Temari felt her body still shaking a bit. From that poise, she was still exhausted. Don't worry, Kankuro said. He would do it. If anyone else, Naruto would save Gaara. I am not worrying, said Temari. I know that he can. As she thought to herself, and besides, he promised me a long time ago that he will make sure my brother is safe. Take care of yourself out there, Naruto-kun, thought Temari. As Maki looked out, be careful, Naruto-kun, she said to herself as well. Naruto appeared in the forest a distance away from the group. As he started to feel the effect, Sakura also popped a pill as well, as she had only gotten at least 2 hours of rest after what she did to heal Kankuro and Temari. But still, she was ready. She would do her best on this mission and make sure that none of her teammates got hurt no matter what. As Naruto then turned towards them, you guys hurry up and catch up, Naruto said. As he created a clone, I'll send back information from another clone, so you guys can tell where we're going, said Naruto. But right now the trail leads towards the border of the water country. Be careful, said Kakashi. And if anything, fall back. We will be there as quickly as possible, said Sakura. Don't die, dope, said Sasuke. We still have our match to continue. I won't, said Naruto, And don't worry, I'll be perfectly fine. And with that he flashed away. As the group started to rush forward with the clone with them. As Naruto reappeared a distance away before pulling his ceiling tag out as he placed on his shoulder. Release, he said, as a burst of chakra washed out of the tag before pouring into his body. As he cricked his neck and hopped on his feet twice before rushing off and disappearing in a blur once again. As Naruto kept on vanishing in a yellow flash. Meanwhile, with the other group, as they were making good time, running as fast as possible, the clone leading the way, until they have to come to a sudden stop when something came crashing out of the sky, forcing all of them to jump back. When all of the smoke and dust clear away, as Kakashi narrowed his eyes, "Kisame," he said. The one and only said Kisame as he got to his feet fully. As his eyes then set on Naruto, a smirk came on his face. "You know, after what you did all those years ago, I've been thinking and waiting on this right opportunity so I would get to pay you back," said Kisame with a smirk on his face. "Seems you have grown and gotten a lot stronger," said Kisame, "after all I've heard. But it's finally time I show you that what you did 4 years ago was a fluke. It's time I put you in your place, boy," said Kisame. But Naruto said nothing as he just narrowed his eyes at them, as he could just tell these are obviously fake. But the rest of the team wouldn't know that. "Wait, if you're here," said Sasuke, "then that is Sasuke." Sasuke's eyes narrowed dangerously as he slowly turned his head to see Itachi walking up from behind the tree. As Itachi stand right beside Kisame. "Kakashi," the clone said, "these guys are fake." Kisame narrowed his eyes. "Fake? What do you mean by that?" he said. As Kakashi looked at Naruto, "They are just decoys, sent here to buy time. From what I can tell and feel, they're probably just 30% of the original. Only, with that amount of power inside their body, you guys should be able to quickly handle them. I won't be taking part in this battle," he whispered to Kakashi, "because I'll be the one to be leading the direction to the original." Kakashi nodded. "Hey, what are you talking about over there?" said Kisame. "Sasuke, you think you can take Itachi? Sakura, me and you will take on Kisame." "Got it," she says. She tightened her gloves. As Sasuke pulled on his blade. "Itachi, I've been waiting for a long while for this." But he then felt a hand on his shoulder. As Kakashi whispered something in his ear, all of the anger then receded from him. What changed?" Itachi said, with his hand resting on his cloak. "I'll deal with him same way," Sasuke said. "You guys deal with that other guy. And let's get a move on," he said. With that, Sasuke disappeared in a blur as he appeared right in front of Itachi clone and sliced right through him. But he burst into crows and flocked away. As Kisame smirked as he saw the both of them headed off. "So, you three, on me one," he said. "Why don't you step forward?" he said, looking over at Naruto. But Naruto said nothing to him. "Hey, what happened to you? Last time I know you were a big talker. Now you're just silent. What are you, scared?" said Kisame, as he pulled Samihata from his back. As Samihata was not jumping around and moving wildly. "Samihata," he said, surprised. Knowing that boy is a Jinchuriki, he has a lot of chakra, and not to mention his name, Uzumaki. He originally have a lot of chakra, so Samihata should be overjoyed right now. Placing his hand on Samihata, he could understand. "Oh, I see," he said, a disappointed look on his face. "So you're a clone," he said. "Now I can see why Samihata is not happy," said Kisame, with a disappointing tone, as he sighed. And I thought I would be facing the original." As he looked down at Samihata. "Don't be sad," he said. "Soon enough we'll get the original, and you can feast as much chakra as you want from him." Kisame then felt something coming as he looked up. As Sakura was coming down as Kisame jumped away. The moment her fist made contact with the ground, it exploded. As even Kakashi had to move away from the destruction. As Kisame speed through hands and started to pour water out of his mouth, and the real battle began. Meanwhile, as Sasori and Data were on top of the bird, moving as fast as they can towards a new location, as they couldn't allow for that boy to catch them. But in all of their haste and all of their worry, they forgot one thing, his special ability, and Deidara should have known better that you shouldn't let Naruto Uzumaki ever touch you if he's your enemy. Suddenly, a bright flash as Naruto appeared right in front of Deidara, as Sasori and Deidara were completely caught off guard. as they had no chance to do anything, as a powerful fist connected into Sorcery's face, knocking him straight off the bird. As a kick smashed into Deidara's face as well. The both of them were sent sailing. Naruto held up his hand as a Rasengan form in seconds before he dived right into the bird's back, ripping through the bird's stomach. As Naruto then used his hand and plunged it right through the back of the bird's neck before ripping it apart, tearing apart the clay. As he grabbed onto Gaara's body before jumping off. As he stood up right in mid-air, there was a wind revolving around him, keeping him afloat. As he stood there like some god, looking down on his enemies, with Gaara under his arm. As he looked over at Gaara, he seemed to be fine, just unconscious. As he created a clone that stood in mid-air with him, he then handed Gaara off to the clone. "Move, fast," he said. The clone nodded, as suddenly there was a burst of wind that erupted from the clone's feet as he shot off with Gaara at tremendous speed. "No you don't," Deidara said as he fired off several clay birds that flew towards the clone. Naruto came right in front of the clone as he held out his hand. A massive wind spear chopped the birds. "Cats," Deidara said as a massive explosion went off. But to Deidara's utter shock, Naruto contained the explosion with the wind spear around it, as Deidara stood there. Meanwhile, Sasori had just picked up himself as he touched his face, as his puppet face was broken with just one single hit. He knew if he was going to kill this brat, he would have to go all out from the get-go, as Sasori ripped off his Akashi cloak, just standing in his pants. As a propeller came from his stomach, spinning wildly. And also, there were some scrolls on his back, as two of them attached under his arm. One of them oozing out water, and the other one slicing wind. As Naruto was still in mid-air, watching his clone retreat, Deidara got back on one of his birds. "So you're him, huh? The golden blur, is it? I've heard a lot about you, and all the things that you have done so far. Should I be honored," said Naruto, "for someone like you to know my name?" Deidara chuckled a bit. "You're quite arrogant, I see. Who the hell do you think you are? Just because you're some double S-rank ninja, you think you're some big shot? Oh, it seems like you misunderstood me. I'm not a big shot or what you think. I'm gonna be the person to bury you." "Bury me? Do you actually believe you can kill me, boy?" "It doesn't matter," Deidara said. "Because, even if you try, I will show this world an art that it will never forget. For my name to live on in history. That piece of crap. Clay crap, that is what you call art," said Naruto. "What did you just say?" said Deidara. "You heard me," said Naruto. "That piece of crap where you fire off clays to explode, that is art? That is nothing but mindless destruction. It seems like you don't understand what true art is." "I don't understand what true art is," said Deidara. "You have no idea," said Naruto. Deidara's hand started to move as he started to create something in the palm. "You really have a big mouth on you, brat. It's a shame that I can't shut it permanently right here. But don't worry, you will still die anyways." As Naruto narrowed his eyes behind him, he then spun around as Deidara fired off several birds that came towards Naruto at the same time, as there was a blast of condensed water and slicing air coming towards him. "Cats," Deidara said as a massive explosion went off. As Deidara smirked, "Big talk, but small bite," he said. "You know, I was wondering," said the voice, as Deidara narrowed his eyes. Sasori, who was on the ground firing off the water and wind, felt the effect being drawn out of his palms. "What the hell?" he said as he quickly released them. He then saw the thing being forged into something right in front of his eyes. This boy had taken control of his own water and his wind to manipulate it to his extent. How the hell was he doing this? "Do you really think that water and wind, two of my best elements, you could use against me?" said Naruto, as he looked down at Sasori. "Well, I see. So you're Lady Chiyo's grandson? So you know about that old bat," said Sasori. "Yeah, I do," Naruto said. "She would be quite disappointed to see you like this. And it seems you haven't aged in a day," said Naruto. "Making yourself a puppet. Even you think that is eternal art, puppets. And you behind me, you think that explosion is eternal art. You two are really stupid," said Naruto. "But I was wondering," as he turned towards Deidara, "those mouths in your hand. What do you do with them exactly?" "What the hell do you mean by that?" Deidara asked. "I mean, come on," said Naruto. You don't look like the type to have girls falling over you. So, you would think where I'm going with this, right? As Deidara narrowed his eyes. What the hell do you think I am, some kind of freak? Yeah, said Naruto, having mouth in your hand. That's basically like doing it with yourself, you know that, right? And that makes you the biggest freak of all. Even worse than Orochimaru. Deidara's eyebrows started to twitch as he looked down at this disrespectful brat. It's time I shut that mouth of yours, said Deidara, as something then came out of his palm that he threw straight up in the air. He then placed his hand around his heel before there was a boom. As Deidara chuckled as he jumped off his bird that he was on, that sailed towards Naruto. God, he said as the bird exploded, but Naruto already contained the explosion with his wing. When the smoke cleared, you like, said Deidara, as he was now standing on a massive dragon. This is my C2 dragon. Let's see you withstand this, he said. The dragon then opened his mouth and fired off a mini dragon towards Naruto. As Naruto held up his finger and pointed towards the dragon coming towards him, before firing, Deidara watched as something split the dragon right in half before discharging through its body. The mini dragon then vanished. As Naruto smirked as Deidara grunted. What the hell? You thought I didn't know about you, said Naruto, with your main weakness being my greatest element, lightning. As lightning cackled on Naruto's hand, Deidara cursed he knew about this, but he never thought that the brat knew about his weakness. Sorcery, he said. Suddenly, Naruto saw shadows flying up into the sky. I have you now, said Sorcery. As Naruto looked around, he was surrounded by hundreds, yes, literally hundreds of puppets wearing red clothing. This is eternal art, said Sorcery. You're one in a very, very long time to make me push this limit. My 100 puppets. I have taken down army with these guys. You stand no chance against me, said Sorcery. Oh, is that so, said Naruto. So you think some toys are going to stop me? Naruto then slammed his hands together. Well, let's see your puppet stand this, said Naruto. Sorcery narrowed his eyes instead of fearing that he was surrounded by 100. This brat just stood there with this arrogant look on his face. As Sorcery and Deidara felt the amount of chakra being drawn, as he could feel it swelling up inside the boy. They could tell that he was planning something dangerous. Lightning released Naruto's shout as he spread his arms out wide. Chaotic Dome! As there was a bright, blinding light that erupted from Naruto's body, flexing his chakra, pouring out wide into a massive dome that surrounded all of the puppets. It was then that Sorcerer felt all of his connection with the chakra strings on his chest detached with the puppets. What the hell, he said as he looked up. Now, said Naruto, discharge! Inside of the dome as Sorcery and Deidara had to move away. A massive electric pulse teared within inside with so much force and current, all of the puppets were literally shredded to nothingness. Sorcery had to watch in complete shock as this boy completely incinerated one of his best moves in one strike. As Sorcery watched as a pile of ash fell down to the ground. Not even remains were left behind, just ashes. Sorcery was beyond shock. If he only knew that you made that specifically for him, said Kurama. Well, I figure I should just end this puppet army in one shot, said Naruto, as he cricked his neck. Now, time to finish them, he said, as Naruto closed his eyes for a second before opening back once again. The next thing he knew, something came sailing towards his head as he had to plummet down to the earth before landing. As the wire from the propeller started swinging at him, sliced into the earth as it came at his head, but Naruto dodged each and every one of them. Sasuke pulled back the wire as he jumped away. The ground under Naruto's feet cracked as several spiders came out of the ground as they all glowed. Cats, Deidara said as they exploded. He then fired off a small mini dragon into the explosion as well, that rippled through the ground. Massive explosion blowing away trees and everything around. Let's see you get out of that one, he said. No, without your arms, you're really nothing. Deidara was shocked as everything flashed in front of his eyes right there. He realized how the boy got here. He appeared on the bird in a flash. And that technique that he has, his father used it to wipe out tons, hundreds, thousands of shinobis in the Third Great Shinobi War. And yet he forgot about it. He must be marked somewhere over his clothes. So he realized no, it wasn't Sasori, it was him. As he had no time, as he screamed out in pain, as his right arm was sliced off. He then felt a bone-crushing kick smash into his back. With tremendous force, he was then sailing off his dragon. He smashed into the ground at terrible force, Naruto drive his sword straight down to the dragon's skull. As he then pumped lightning chakra through it, the dragon then twisted around before it exploded in a shower of clay. As Deidara quickly got to his feet, as he tore off his Aka's cloak and flung it away and jumped away, he landed right beside Sasori. It seems like they weren't overestimating his strength. He really is strong, said Deidara. That he is, said Sasori. But we can still win this, he said. Yes, we can, said Deidara. As he reached into his pouch, suddenly, his arm then started to spew out a white goo. The thing then formed and created shape into strange monsters that look weird on their feet. As Naruto stepped forward, so what's this? Some new form of art. The things then start to move forward, looking like some deformed creatures. Do you expect me to come close to you doing that, said Naruto as he saw the string attached to Deidara's arm. Naruto held up his finger. Big Harai, he said, as a lightning beam so fast fired from his two fingers, tearing right through the skull of one of the creatures. It split, but then the creature simply reformed. I guess it's gonna cause for something a bit stronger, said Naruto. But as he was talking, the ground underneath him exploded. As Sasori propeller came from the ground, going towards his neck to sever it off, but Naruto vanished and reappeared beside Deidara's cloak. Deidara smirked. Cats, he said, as the cloak had many spiders all over it, as it exploded. I knew that you would do that, said Deidara. Lest you walk away from that easily, Deidara said. When the smoke cleared away, Deidara saw a log? What the hell? As he looked around. Where is he, Sasori? I don't know, Sasori says. He looked around as well, both of them scanning the area. They then saw a blur pass overhead, as they saw at least 10 paper bombs falling down on top of them. The both of them quickly scattered as the paper bombs hit the ground and blew Deidara creatures to pieces. As Deidara landed looking around, before a feet smashed into his face with so much force, several of his teeth were burst out of his mouth, blood gushing. As Naruto spun and smashed his foot in Deidara's chest. As Naruto grabbed onto his arm and then smashed another punch right into his mouth, as a few other teeth were broken before Naruto released him as he crashed into a tree. Naruto then heard the propeller coming behind him as he flipped, but the thing changed direction as Naruto flashed away. Sasori turned and looked to where Naruto appeared, but then he heard something crying out in pain. As he looked over at Deidara, see Deidara's another arm severed. As Naruto smashed his foot right into Deidara's face, breaking his head through the tree. As the propeller came towards him once again, as Naruto dived towards Sasori, Sasori raised his hand as blazing flames came out of it, trying to incinerate Naruto alive. But Naruto placed his hand on the ground, placing down his mark, before vanishing, as he then reappeared right in front of the flames, holding something right in front of him before vanishing, back toward the tree. As Sasori thought that he got Naruto, but when he heard screaming, as he released his flame to see Deidara on the ground, his body scorched. Deidara could even talk right now. His entire mouth was destroyed by the hits that Naruto gave him, and not to mention, his two hands, they were gone. As Naruto was standing beside the tree, Deidara slowly looked over. If he was going to die, he will at least take this guy with him. As two snakes, white snakes, emerged from the ground slowly, before slithering towards Naruto with all the speed they had. As they crawled up his foot, Naruto looked down just in time, as he pulled for his blade and tried to slice them off, but they started to glow. They exploded on him with so much force, it blew the trees to splinters. As Sasori stood there, I think you got him, he said, as he looked down at Deidara. There was no way Deidara was going to survive this. Already losing so much blood from his arms being sliced off, and not to mention now, he was burned badly. But there still could be a way. They could reattach his arms, if he get him to Kakasu just in time, and he need to stop the bleeding as well. But first they need to take care of the golden blur. Sasori smirked as he noticed there was that silhouette in the smoke. That means they got him, right? When the smoke cleared away, they saw Naruto still standing there. As Deidara's eyes narrowed, he couldn't talk, but he was pissed. As Naruto had a few burn marks on his shirt, and it was torn in some places, but otherwise he was fine. as the both of them noticed that lightning was cackling off of his body. From what they have heard, as they heard about the fourth Raikage and his technique to shroud his body in complete lightning, it was something like that. It protected his body from most of the blasts. As that was going on, Deidara was trying his best. He barely had at least 2 teeth left in his mouth, as the blood was just gushing down as he was trying to bite onto something using his gum and his 2 back teeth remaining. It was a struggle to do it, as he was trying to rip something off his chest, trying his hardest until he managed to rip it open, pulling out the threads. The moment he did that, a long tongue came from his chest, as there was another mouth right in his chest as well. As he started to crawl over towards his clay pouch, as he landed right on top of it, Naruto instantly knew what he was doing and flew straight up in the air. Sorry, Sasori, thought Deidara to himself, as he will take this kid down with him no matter what. His final art. Sasori noticed that Deidara's skin was turning black and strangely see-through. As Naruto held his hand together in mid-air, as Sasori looked up, 2 things were going on right now, as he needed to focus on the brat up there, but what was Deidara doing? As Naruto held his arms apart, suddenly, lightning started cackling one of his arms. In the next arm, a ball of water started to form and rotate. Naruto then blew wind from his mouth that came right in the center as he brought lightning and water together. The 3 of them merged together as they created a small, rotating ball. The thing was just bursting with so much power and energy. What is he doing? Said Kurama. He's gonna blow everything up, said Naruto. As he looked over, his team shouldn't be far from here, as that explosion was wide and he couldn't afford Deidara to do it, as the others would get caught up in the explosion as well. Storm release, Naruto said. Chaotic Dome. As he fired off the small ball, suddenly the ball extended a wide range, as it was white in color, surrounded a large chunk of ground, surrounded Deidara and Sasori as well. As Deidara looked up, his body fading away, as lightning then hit him from all directions. Lightning strike also strike right into Sasori, tearing his puppy blood to pieces. Naruto then snapped his finger, as a small pulse of lightning dropped right on top of the dome, as it then went critical before the entire inside started to light up. Deidara, his explosion stood no chance because it would never go off. As Naruto dome went critical and exploded, the explosion rocked through the area, tearing the 2 bodies to nothingness. Not even dust remaining. Their bodies were incinerated on sight, as Naruto had to close his eyes in the bright, blinding light. Even he was pushed back even though he was in mid-air. He was using a steady jet of wings to fly, but that proportion was knocked off guard as he started to fall. He flashed away in a flash and appeared down towards his sword that was a distance away towards a tree. The moment he did that, he fell right on his ass. Using so many destructive techniques, they took a lot out of him. You know, that would have been much faster if you used my chakra, said Kurama. I already told you, said Naruto. Your chakra is for the big guns, like Pain or Madara, said Naruto, when I'm going up against those 2. After all, you're much too powerful for me to waste your chakra and those idiots, right? Huh. You call S-rank ninja idiots. You're the only one that can do that, Naruto, said Kurama. Well, I am a double S-rank ninja, so that means I'm like the both of them combined, but stronger, Naruto said. As Kurama chuckled in his head, that you are, he said. As Naruto got back to his feet, whoa, I really messed up this place a lot, didn't I? As Kurama could see through Naruto's eyes, looking at all the destruction that he caused. Well, an S-rank ninja battle went off here. As Naruto closed his eyes, Naruto, said Kurama. You sense him, don't you? Where is he? Said Naruto. He's off a distance into the trees. I doubt that you'll be able to go to him before he goes away. Yeah, I know, said Naruto. The bastard is pretty fast like that. And I destroyed the white half of him. But the black half, it went straight down into the ground. He is their spy after all. He was still alive when I was facing off against Jubito. He needs to die as well, said Naruto. As Naruto started to walk off, but for right now, he could not get his Zetsu. As he turned his head, the black half of Zetsu went back down into the ground like a liquid. As he couldn't believe it, how strong Uzumaki has become. It seems like he is too strong. And up to this point, Zetsu hasn't seen him use any of the Nine Tails power. And from what he had seen, he was able to use up to 4 tails of the Nine Tails power when he was in Konoha facing off against Orochimaru. So 4 years, he must have gotten stronger, but still he refused to use that power. How strong was he exactly, Zetsu thought. Naruto created a clone as he was walking, as the clone then poofed away. A few minutes later, Naruto clone that he sent away with Gaara arrived. As the clone landed, "You're looking really exhausted there, boss," the clone said. "You try fighting 2 S-rank criminals and using all those high explosive jutsu and also the high Rishin and tell me that you won't get exhausted. Well, why did you give me so much of your chakra then?" the clone asked. "Because I need you to get Gaara to safety, and I wouldn't want anything to destroy you while you were going. With that amount of chakra, you could at least fight back." As the clone then came over, "Well, you need it more than I do," he says. He placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder. As all the chakra returned back to Naruto, as the clone then poofed away. "Thanks," Naruto said. Well, he was literally talking to himself, as he looked on the still unconscious form of Gaara, before walking over to a tree. He placed his hand on the ground. The fighting that was going on earlier had stopped. There was no need for him to rush over there. He could already tell who it was. It was Kisame and Itachi, those fakes that he had fought. His clone had sent another clone information to him, and he saw that Sakura and Kakashi were handled Kisame well. They even managed to take it down, even though it was just 30%. But still, that was good. And Sasuke had completely obliterated that Itachi fake. So they should be coming here anytime soon. So there was no need to rush. As Naruto sat down, as he rested Gaara back against a tree. "Throughout all this fighting, you're still unconscious," Naruto said, as he poked Gaara right in the forehead. But he still didn't wake up, as Naruto flicked him right in the forehead. But Gaara still didn't wake up. As Naruto just sat back down and relaxed with him, until he could sense the others coming. They were a distance away, but they were still coming. It seems like he had went a far distance. They have even passed the border of the land of water. Meanwhile, Kakashi and his group, they knew that someone was coming behind them. As the group stopped, they had been fighting for some time now. They heard massive explosions and the ground shaking off into the distance, and they knew that Naruto went a far distance away. So what the hell was going on? "Do you think Naruto's okay?" Sakura asked. She hopped from tree branch to tree branch. "He's just fine," said Sasuke. Seems like you have a lot of faith in him," said Kakashi. "That, and he's ridiculously strong." As the two of them looked at him, "What?" he said. "I have to admit, he's strong." "Well," said Kakashi, "I just thought you'd be a bit jealous." "I guess I am a bit, but it doesn't bother me that much." As Sakura smiled, "I'm glad," she said, "that you guys won't be at each other's throats over something like this." Meanwhile, at the Hidden Rain, Pain was fuming. He was downright pissed, as he couldn't believe the first Jinchuriki that went after, and that was nearly captured. This golden blur has to interfere with their mission and interrupt them while they're doing their business, as Black Zetsu had reattached to another White Zetsu. As Pain was there, looking over his village. "Have you seen anything new?" "Yes, and I'm afraid it's worse than we thought. It seems like he has been holding back the entire time throughout his training and what we saw. Because up to this point I haven't seen him use the Kyuubi's chakra. He's just been using his own power. And not to mention he was able to completely analyze the situation. He was able to find out that lightning was neither a weakness. He was able to completely demolish one of Sasori's attacks in one shot. I don't know how he got this strong, but I don't think any of the other members could take him on as he is." "Is he really that strong?" said Konan. "Yes, he is," said Zetsu. As Pain sighed, "It doesn't matter," he said. "Tell the others to proceed with the capturing. He is mine after all. And it doesn't matter how strong he is, he's still a human. And I'm a god," said Pain, as he stood up with an arrogant look. As Konan just looked at him, she knew that Pain was strong, as he has crushed any foes that come into his path. But hearing about this Naruto Uzumaki was worrying her, as she has doubts to think that Pain might actually lose. She shook her head off those thoughts. No, he wouldn't. He would not lose, she thought to herself. He would come out on top as usual. As she hoped. But guys, be in subscribe right here. If what's the next part of this, or know what to do. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn that bell notification to stay posted. Remember, share this with all of your friends and social media platform. I'm off now. See you guys soon. Peace.